Oh, yeah, yeah. Right here? Is that good? Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
That's nice. Did you have a storm last night?
Yeah.
Pretty big one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I was wondering if anyone had any damage or anything. It was pretty bad. I mean, there's nothing major in our area. It was pretty, like, it looked intense, but nothing major.
Okay.
We had a tornado warning. But,
Yeah. Because we didn't really have that much. Just kept hearing about that.
I saw the fair had, like, massive flooding.
Yeah, it's like it went right around South Minneapolis and up towards St. Paul. Yeah, over to the end of the fair. Yeah, Tim and Greg have known each other for like 30 years.
Okay.
I knew him at Bethlehem as well.
Okay.
He sings with like
yeah, it was This is it. I know when the dogs don't have their people nearby. So come on, you can actually come right through here. It'd be awesome if we close this off. I don't have a cord or anything, so I don't have to be connected. Thank you. So let's try something. Let's tune up. Tuning might sound something like, wanna all sing that like a big cello? We sound pretty good. Come on a little closer. I think we'll even sound cozier. Now, we're developing an international sign for harmony in a group like this. Some people can do it. Let's try it. I hear some nice stuff here. We sound good. One more time. Try a harmony. Do something crazy if you want. Nice. Nice. So there's a song that I learned from some people that had just come off a plane from Ghana in Africa, and they said, we are just there, and they said, teach everyone in America this song, like it was medicine or something. So this is a song in a language from Ghana, Dagbani. It's the word is Nuung Yeda. That's the whole thing. Try that. Nung Yeda. Nung Yeda. And what we're going to say over and over is, I believe, I believe, I believe that you're my sibling, actually. I believe. That's the song. It's that simple. I believe you're my sibling. So it goes like this. Nung ye da, oh, try that much. Nung ye da, oh. Second half has a nice little turn in it. Nung ye da ma bia. Try that. Nung ye da ma bia. One more time. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. Yeah. So let's try it all together. La 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 is always fine. Don't have to worry about the lyrics at all. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. It's the whole thing. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. Oh, you sound good. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. And that little ma bia like puts a groove in it. I don't know what it is. But then there's a harmony. Listen to this. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. Try that. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. We'll put it together pretty soon. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. Over here goes. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. Stick together with that part. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. You sound good. And then we say Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. Little faster now. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. Volume knob up a little. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. I've had coffee. We'll go faster. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye. Even faster now. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. Two more. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. Last one. Nung ye da oh. Nung ye da ma bia. Nung ye da. I believe that you must be my sibling. I believe you must be my sibling. So, let's do something. This song is one that I have taught children before, and it has a subversive message in it, a secret message. And so I want you to raise your hand when you hear the message, but it takes a while to get there. So it's three different parts, and we're going to march in place like this. So it goes like this. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. Got that much? Try that. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. It's off to the woods we are. We'd like to stay, but time is short. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. It's off to the woods we are. We'd like to stay, but time is short. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. It's off to the woods we are. We'd like to stay, but time is, one more time, short. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. It's off to the woods we are. We'd like to stay, but time is short. Okay, so we got to split into 3 groups and do this around to get the message. This is going to be a group, kind of hang with each other. If you get lost, just kind of listen in, lean into your people. This is a group right in here, because we need a few over here. Let's get a... Please join us if you want. We're just doing some goofy singing. We'd love to have your voice. Here, this group right here, and this group here. Get ready. It's called Perfection Free anyway. Okay, here we go. Get ready, stick together. Let's try it one more time and then we'll split it up. 1, 2. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. It's off to the woods we are. We'd like to stay, but time is short. That's the cycle, and keep it going. Here we go. 1. Get your feet going first. Get them going. Here we go. Raise your hand if you happen to hear the secret statement. It's the message of the day. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. 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 We'd like to stay, but time is short. 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 We'd like to stay, but time is. Anyone got it?
I heard we are short.
Oh, that's very close. You're 2 out of 3. You're so close. Will you stand here and really listen and not sing? Come and stand here and then see if you hear something different. Come on. Don't worry. Just open your ears. You don't have to sing. Here we go. 1, 2. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. 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 We'd like to stay, but time is short. We'd like to stay, but time is short. Okay, let's see. Did you hear anything?
I heard we are short again.
That's interesting. Let's keep talking about this. Did anyone hear anything else? That was good. Thank you. Gnomes are short.
Ray
It's in
said
there.
time is short.
Time is short. Oh, I like what you bring here. So let's try it one more time. Listen for gnomes are short. It's the profound message of the day. 1, 2. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. It's all the merry gnomes. Hey ho, said the merry gnomes. We'd like to stay, but time is short. We'd like to stay, but time is short. Okay, right there. That's enough of that. Hey. Enough of that. and then we'll get on with our day. Thank you so much for taking a chance when you felt like just sitting there and drinking coffee. Hello, hello. So nice to just sit and drink coffee and not be doing crazy things, but hey, that was nice. Thank you. I go by Brother Timothy, which is not a religious term at all. It's a sense that we're all related. It actually came from that song that we sang before. We must be siblings. We can sing it to the falls and the creek and the trees here too. We're learning more and more every day about the relationships. And I'm so glad to be part of Fabric today. So I'm going to sing one tune, challenging song. This is one that I love because the woman that wrote its name is Malvina Reynolds. And Malvina Reynolds is a friend of Pete Seeger's and wrote civil rights kind of songs, society challenging songs in the 60s. And she didn't look like your usual yippie or hippie, or she had these like horn-rimmed glasses. She looked like a 1960s librarian. I love librarians. But that's more was her style. And she wrote these songs. This song came from, I was reading about it. She was driving south of San Francisco where she lived, and she came into a new development in 1962, and she saw just how each house there was looking very similar. And then I had to look up the word ticky-tacky, because the words ticky-tacky mean to be made out of cheap materials, ticky-tacky. I didn't know that. It's a great word, cheap materials. So she worked that into the song. Maybe you know this song. It was the theme song for a show called Weeds about 10 years ago that we heard a lot of cool versions of it. So let's do this song. I love these things that Fabric has, these little blank books. Whenever I come and hang out at a service or a conversation like this, I just write and write and write. Sometimes I'm mad at what's being said, and sometimes I agree or whatever, and I just love writing. So grab one. They're over here if you want it. Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a green one and a pink one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses, we all went to the university, and we all get put in boxes. We all look all the same. There's a doctor, there's a lawyer, and a business executive, and we all are made of ticky-tacky. We all look just the same. And we play on the golf course, and we drink our martinis dry, and we all have pretty children, and the children, they go to school, and the children go to summer camp, and then to boxes, and they come out all the same. And the children, they go into business, and they marry and raise a family, and they all get put in boxes, and they all the same. There's a pink one, and a green one, and a blue one, and a yellow one, and they all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. Melvina Reynolds, 1962. Luckily, there's nothing like that happening anymore these days, so it's a relic from the past.
Hello. Good morning. If you don't know me, my name is Jared. I'm here with my wife, Brittany, our 3 kids, River, Edwin, and Reese. Welcome. We are Fabric, South Minneapolis Church, and we've been here at Minnehaha Falls a lot this summer. I'm grateful that the weather cooperated with us after the wild situation last night. So thank you all for making it out today. Something I like about Fabric is the diversity of voices and ideas that you'll hear each week, whether it's our special guests like Tim or our in-depth theme discussions. Week to week, we look at a different aspect, some theme in a series. Even the format's different week to week. A month ago, we were here, the art fair was going on, so we had an open mic thing going on. I did not realize I'd be playing guitar, but my daughter signed us up, so the Gilman Family Band made its debut a month ago. So we typically gather at the field 46th and 4th over there in South Minneapolis. So I think we have one more Sunday here, and then we're back there on September 11th. So some things to note. Oh yeah, communication cards. So I think everyone should have one of these. They look a little different than they usually do. Take a look at the back, something we're looking at. Greg, our pastor Greg, is on sabbatical right now, so we're thinking about what Fabric means, what this community is. And so I'd ask everyone to reflect on this and think about something that is challenging for you and then something that matters for you this week. And any other thoughts or prayers, put it on the back. Another thing to note, kids are obviously welcome here. During the regular season at Field, separate spaces for the kids and for the adults. Now we're gathering together. Looks like everyone got some Legos. There's always something fun to do for the kids, so be with the kids during the summer. Another exciting thing today, obviously we have Tim, but on top of that, there is a baptism today. Mabel Gish is getting baptized after the gathering. So everyone is invited to head to the top of the falls over there to celebrate Mabel and her place in Fabric. I think that's it. One other, say hi. If you don't know somebody, please turn to them, and if you don't know what to say, maybe talk about your favorite trip this summer or something fun you did this summer. I think that's it.
All right. The good thing is, if I didn't stop you from talking, you'd be talking for a long, long time, and that's a sign. That's a good sign. So let's have a seat. I want to thank Jared for that beautiful welcome, and I love what he said about Fabric. What we are doing, what Fabric is doing, is defining who Fabric is again and again. And he mentioned the diversity of things. I want to say right now, I've been here many times as a singer and as a songwriter, and it's a tribute to them, to Fabric, to us, that I'm here saying a few words today, because this isn't my usual capacity with Fabric, that I do this kind of a thing, and I haven't been with the community regularly over the years, but more sporadically. So don't blame them for what I say. But I'm just hoping that we can bring a few ideas today that are grist in the mill for us each. Speaking of the mill, that reminds me of ye old mill at the State Fair. I was at the State Fair yesterday, and so I did eat some cheese curds, which clouds up my third eye for a couple of days. So we'll see how this goes today. Anyway, I want to say something. I don't know how this will go, but please don't stand on any formality. One of the things we want to do, I see the Legos are gone, so we might already be added. Is that right, Heidi? We have some Legos here, and we have some clay here. We're going to start with Lego. Where are those things? Are they around here? I would love it if you'd make, anybody would make a humanoid of any kind. Any sort of human shape out of Lego would be awesome. And that's not an assignment. If you want to deviate off and make something else, I guess that's okay. But let's go for humans. We're going to make human forms. Where is the Lego activity? Oh, here it comes. You're welcome to set up shop right on the ground here. Have at it. We have some Legos for everybody. Yeah, you can sit down right there or at your chair. And anyone want to jump in? There's quite a bit. Make some humanoids, if you would. Human shapes. So, all right. So I want to just bring a few thoughts here, and the Lego can happen right here. It's just fine. And I'm going to just move forward a bit. So I teach 8th grade this year over at City of Lakes Waldorf School on 24th and Nicollet. And it's a cool school if anyone is in the market for looking at schools. So I want to bring a few thoughts. One, basically, I worked on about 4 different versions of this. The topic this week, last week, Melissa eloquently brought fresh, the word fresh. Topic this week, organic. So I was thinking about this word organic, so popular these days. And I had a lot of different ideas until I got word yesterday morning that a close friend of mine had passed away, and it took me by surprise. And so I just kind of shifted gears. So I knew that they had cancer and that they had a rough case of it. And I knew that they were going to be living with the cancer until their last days. But sometimes, which is great, people will live with cancer for many, many years. And I had hoped that was the case, and I hadn't talked with my friend for a couple years. But our lives ran parallel, and I was changed by them for a couple of years, about 10 years ago. Nelson Mandela said in his inaugural address, "We are born to manifest God's glory within us. It's not just in some of us, but it's in everyone.
And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So, this friend of mine's freeing of themselves was brave in their lifetime, and it helped me to free myself over time also, which is an ongoing process. I'm not pretending to say that, oh, I'm all freed up right now, but we work on that. So from the outside, my childhood was a simple and beautiful one. I grew up on the western edge of town, kind of where Ridgedale is now. I grew up out there where Ridgedale wasn't before, when there was still riffraff out on that end of town, and I grew up in the marshes on that end of town. I had a mom, a dad, 3 siblings, a dog. And we went to church. We drove into downtown Minneapolis every Sunday to a place known as the Swedish Tabernacle. And it was like a mega church for Swedes in like the 50s and 60s. There were like 1,000 people that would, and in their big sanctuary, they'd speak Swedish in the first part of the 20th century. When I came into it, I would spy on the Swedish service, which was much smaller, much grayer looking, but I was enamored with this other language that was being spoken. And then we would meet in the big sanctuary and, of course, speak English. But it seemed to my family, to my parents, as what kids do as an educator, what kids do is they watch you as the adult. They don't listen to you. Don't get that for a moment that you think they listen to you. They watch you. They watch what you do and how you are in the world. And I watched my parents, and I saw that they wanted us to believe, and they believed that the church, what was happening at the church, was the most central thing in our household, and the most central thing beyond work, beyond neighbors, whatever. The church teachings were the most important thing. So I took in those stories as a child so deeply. And I remember my Sunday school teacher, who was actually my godfather, also a friend of the family, and we'd sit at these kidney-shaped tables. I was in like first grade, and he would teach us these stories, Bible stories, and I took them in so deeply. And they were magic, these stories. And also, I want to say, as I became a teenager, I became aware that there were also constraints in the teachings, and these were not in the sacred text necessarily. I figured out afterwards, but rather they were added to. This is what we tend to do. We can't help it, but added to the sacred text in kind of in a blended way, were all kinds of social norms and fears and controls. And I didn't know that, of course, back then. And as I became a teenager and then into my early 20s, I realized that I was not feeling very free. Things like this, like a sexual relationship was supposed to be monogamous for your whole life. That might be a good idea, but it doesn't mean you're going to go to Hades if you breach that one, right? But that's what I was taught. And also that your partner is supposed to be of the opposite gender. That was taught most certainly to me, and that it was mixed in with the teachings. Also, if you're sharing something material with a friend, you're supposed to take the smaller piece. Well, that's kind of good etiquette, I think. Rock music was full of ideas that would lead us astray. That was definitely something. That's probably why I became a musician for the rest of my life. And also, I was supposed to be a peacemaker, and I was supposed to do that by putting my ideas aside if there was conflict. Okay, I was supposed to be a peacemaker by putting my convictions aside if there was conflict. And the list goes on. And I recall by about 22 years old that I was feeling what I would now call depressed and in need of a good therapist, which it would take another 6 years to encounter. And I really did not know who I was. I kept giving my voice away, something that the local poet and treasure, Robert Bly, calls suicidal generosity. He's not saying that you're suicidal necessarily, but he's saying that there's a kind of generosity that your identity is done away with internally. Too generous. You lose your voice completely in the world. And so this is something that I somehow picked up in the sacred teachings of my childhood church. I had lost my sense of voice. I had lost my sense of wonder. And my wonder for the world just started to dry up. Here I am, 59 years old, and I've spent my life still loving those old stories. I do. They're in me very deeply, but also untangling myself from the toxic aspects of my childhood religion. Now, my wife, Carrie, we've been married for quite some time. She went to St. Olaf College and had the privilege of going to Thailand in her senior year of college there. And she came back and we got to talking. We liked talking about things. She said, oh my gosh, when I was in Thailand, people are all Buddhist and they were so superstitious. Like, here I am in America going like, oh my gosh, Buddhists, they're just like enlightened. What's going on over there? They're just so calm and centered. And she's saying like in Thailand, the Buddhists that she was around and living with were so afraid if they didn't remember to leave food out at night for the spirit, the hungry spirits that would come by. They were mortified if they had forgotten something like that. So this thing isn't just like a Christian phenomenon. It's, I think, a religious phenomenon, a way that people attach fears to sacred teachings. So back to my friend that passed away this week. They were a third-generation pastor in a very specific church, and they told me this somewhere along the way. They said, Tim, when my dad died, he had been a pastor his whole life, and he was bitter. And I don't want to be bitter. I just want to pursue my path ahead with freedom. And so they went ahead and they made changes, and they stepped away from a very robust church where they had worked for 20 years, and they finished the last few years away from town in a small, quiet church so they could get the lowest pension, qualify for the lowest pension that they could. And then, after those 25 years, they took their grandfather's robes, pastoral robes, a family heirloom. They took their grandfather's robes, waded into a river, and let the robes go away down the river, watching. And they described to me with such beauty that act of letting the robes go. And then they moved away to a new town. They were already a good artist, and they just dove right in and started creating paintings that to me were mind-blowing, paintings of simple people, the same people that they had talked about from the pulpit, but now no words. Faces from the newspaper, neighbors, immigrants, relatives. And they were more successful than they thought they'd ever be. And then they came along the cancer diagnosis. But that image of the family heirloom robes flowing away, I hold that image dear, a kind of letting go of their logical and secure path, a kind of turning towards wonder, a kind of turning towards life with a capital L. So this is not a talk certainly against the church. I hold the church dear to me. It's where I come from. But for some of you, the church is your personal path. It's your new path. It's a gold mine. And for others, it might be like me, a kind of a sticky trap that we have to work on our whole life. Fabric, this community wants you to be a thread, whoever you are. All the chemicals and synthetics that go into our foods that are not organic and our fabrics that are not organic these days, those are meant to control. Those are meant to create a lot of one consistent thing. But fabric, this community, with this week's word, organic, Fabric wants to weave an odd, kind of quirky, different threads together into a bumpy and interesting, strong fabric community. There's no formula other than please tend your garden. Whatever that means. That's the formula. Please tend your garden. Stay alive. The community can support that process. If you want to float your robes away and start again, the community can support that process. If you're already alive in your current situation, the community can support that process. I love this quote. There's a writer, Mary Catherine Bateson. She may have passed away recently at a ripe old age, but she's the daughter of Margaret Mead, the anthropologist. So Mary Catherine Bateson was around all these thinkers in her youth and eventually became one herself. And she was at a conference I was at, and she defined wisdom. Now, we throw around this word wisdom all the time, but she defined wisdom as this: half experience, we knew that part, half experience and half wonder. And she reminded us that children are geniuses of wonder. Just that's what you have been, so you know what it feels like. And you can watch the little ones around you and watch their face, watch how they engage at the beach, watch how they engage Lego, watch how they engage the grass, and watch their face. They're geniuses of wonder. They're naturally in wonder. And somehow we can lose our way with wonder over the years. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It just can happen. But if wisdom is half experience and half wonder, then we better ask ourselves, what is my relationship as an adult with wonder, with a capital W? How do I conjure wonder? Our society likes to compartmentalize, at least I do anyway, when I say, oh, that person's a lawyer, and you think you might understand something about the inner life of that person. I don't know why we do that. That person's a house painter. That person, oh, they're a singer. That person's a computer coder. And we have our ideas about these things. But you are given your own sense, a very specific sense of wonder. Each of us, each of you, has your own sense of wonder. No one can show you what your wonder is. That's your responsibility. We can be inspired by each other, but no one can show you. And it's not a static thing. Bob Dylan said in his career, he would sing, each record seemed to have a different voice on it. He was moving through evolution of himself. I think that's part of wonder too. So we've been having some Lego building here into humanoid form, and we can kind of, would you hold them up? Would you hold up that little, I love how little that person's head is compared to their body. That is nice. Thank you. One great. Any other humanoids that have shown up? Oh, there's one that's running. I think I can see that's coming into form. Other people that have been made here? Can you hold up your creation? That one looks like something a person could climb upon. I like that very much. And then here, this one. You're almost there. Hold that one up. We got a humanoid that is in action. Very cool. I would not have thought of that one. So I want you to come, if you're willing, and we're going to shift gears out of Legoland, which has been cool. Thank you for doing that. And we have clay here, and we have water in this bucket here and water in this bucket here if you want to wash your hands or maybe moisten the clay a little bit. Please feel like this is a bumblebee hive, and you can come. Do bumblebees have hives? I don't think they do. A beehive, and you can come and go to these buckets, and you can be working on. I'd love to also see more humanoids, human forms out of clay, and you can be working while we're finishing up here today. So I'm going to just put the mic down for a second, and we're going to get into some clay. If you want to just grab a hunk of clay and hang at your chair, you're welcome to do that. If you want to just watch, that's absolutely fine. It is kind of, I must say, therapeutic to be just hanging on, warming up. It actually warms up over time. We got another few minutes together, so you're welcome to hold something malleable in your hands, earthy in your hands. There are little pieces and big pieces.
Okay, I think Chloe grabbed some now that I'm thinking of it.
Hello, hello. So let's bring it in for a landing. We're going to finish up our morning together. So fun to just watch the faces and watch the hands of all the workers making their creatures. I made this little guy, I don't know if it's a guy, this humanoid here on display. But I asked around during the time, like what was the kids the people that did both Lego and clay, what did they notice? I don't know if this is helpful, but I just asked them. One of them said, well, your hands get dirty with the clay. Your hands get dirty. Also, you can be more exact with the clay. You can make a little beard if you want, or 5 pointy, like a star-shaped human being. And someone said that the Lego just kind of fits cleanly together. The Lego is harder. A few people said that. Someone said they stepped in their bedroom on a Lego at night, and that hurt. We've all done that one. And someone said you can really shape the clay however you'd like. So that's what we heard from the mostly the smaller people, but there were a couple adults weighing in on that. So I want to remind you and remind myself, we have to do this periodically, that we are made of this stuff all around us, the same stuff that makes this tree, the same stuff that's flowing by us here down to the Mississippi, and the same stuff that makes that acorn, that we're made of that stuff. And if we want to talk about organic, we've all heard this kind of a cliche, but it still kind of wows me when we talk about the word organic. Everything was organic. All food was organic. All clothing was organic before 1920 or so, to the beginning of time. This idea of organics came in about the 1940s, about 10 years after pesticides started being used and synthetics, plastics and things like that in the 20s and 30s. It came on strong. Maybe you know more about that history than me, but I'm so intrigued by, for the last millions of years, it was always organic. We come from that world. Our bodies are made of that world. So our bodies are made of clay. It's interesting to kind of juxtapose the Legos and the clay as we think about some of these issues. So one thing I want to just say before we end up here is that Fabric can always use your support. It's an amazing community that has stayed flexible over 20 years. So it's not just started last year. I think it's a real tribute that they've been meeting in a school. They want to meet in a school, not have their own building. Fabric, we don't want that, but we want to be flexible. We want to be organic in our approach. And so always can use your support. On the piece of paper there are many ways that you could give some money to support this group. Also can take money today if you're willing to do that. That would be wonderful. I just want to remind you of a couple of things. This quote that Nelson Mandela used, "We are born to manifest God's glory." We don't want to get hung up on the word God. Some people might call upon a very, very deep wisdom in their psyche. So we are meant to manifest that glory within us, and it's not just in some of us, it is in every single one of us. We could also say we're meant to manifest the wonder that's in us, and it's not just in some of us, but it's in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I want to share just one last thought that this summer, I'm a teacher over at the Waldorf School, and we do these wild things for training sometimes. So this summer, I was out in San Diego, and this kind of guru of marionettes, this woman that she says she creates heaven on earth, and I believe her, because if you watch children watching a little a fairy tale, might be hundreds of years old fairy tale, done with marionettes. It's not meant to be funny or super entertaining. It's meant to be like this serene and beautiful and deep experience. And I was able to make my own little puppet marionette this summer, and we, filled the cotton head with organic wool, and then we dyed the skin color, and we dyed the silks for the body of these marionettes. And the woman that was leading this whole workshop, she had worked with Navajo people to learn about dyeing with organic dyes or nature dyes, color from nature. And she said that the philosophy, which really struck me, is the color that comes is good. Rather than our impulse to control, like, how did you get that amazing red? How did you get that amazing gold? And then trying to make a formula out of it. When we were combining colors to go after another color that we wanted, she would say, don't think about it too much. The color that comes is good. A kind of faith that we're working with these rich and beautiful elements. Have faith that the one that comes, you'll accept it, and it will be good. The color that comes is good. And we can think of our wonder that way, where we're brought with our wonder in our life, and the color that comes is good. And then we can bring a vital person. We can be tending our personal garden. We can bring a vital person to a community like this. But sometimes we're not a vital person. Lord knows I know all about that, and we can be held in a community like this. So at Fabric, we want all your quirks, your complexities. You don't have to be a Christian. You might be agnostic or a Jew or a Buddhist. That would make us even more real and more beautiful. We're just here to support each other as we do the individual work of keeping wonder alive in our own life. So I want to just finish up with a poem that I love very dearly. I think it's medicine for this time, and I want to do it with my guitar. And I'll introduce it a little bit. The poem comes from a gentleman that just passed away a couple years ago. He lived in England at the time of his passing, named Roger Keyes. Roger Keyes was a university professor of medieval armor or something like that, Asian history. And he was not a poet, so this is a great tribute to just finding some new turf for himself. But he was not a poet, considered a poet, but he wrote these words. And he studied, apparently, hokusai. Now, hokusai is a wood block artist. He would carve wood and then use ink and press it onto a material. You can see in your program one of Hokusai's most famous images. Hokusai died in 1850, so living, a couple hundred years ago in Japan. So Roger Keyes, the writer of this poem, talks about Hokusai from a very personal perspective. And it's called Hokusai Says. So he's kind of speaking for Hokusai in this poem. That's the background. Let me just grab my guitar and we'll finish up together. If you like the singing, We do singing like that every Saturday morning at Kieran's Kitchen in Northeast Minneapolis. We call it Perfection Free Singing. We have a great community there of about 30 people yesterday that just love coming together and making sounds that way. So if you're here at the beginning, we were singing together. Oh, I'm gonna take this guy off. Roger Keyes, Hokusai says. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention. Notice. He says, keep looking. Stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck. Accept it. Repeat yourself as long as it's interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. He says, every one of us is ancient. He says, every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees, wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you feel. It matters that you care. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. Peace is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you.
Thank you, Brother Timothy. Wow. Oh, I needed that breath of air. Hi, everyone. I'm Lillahai. I'm part of Fabric, and I'm going to be facilitating, participating, being a part of this baptism for Miss Mabel. Hopefully she's not falling asleep too much over there, but all right.
So if you want to come down and join us, I promise I won't go too long, and we're going to meet just kind of right by this tree and then walk over there together. But if you lose track of us, we're going to be, there's a little inlet right upstream of the falls. We would love you all to join and be a part of this. Also, small plug, but if you want to hear more from me, come back next week, and I'll be talking longer. So really appreciate you all being Fabric. Beautiful world around us. Thank you.